Well, he's already busted up. Oh! Green up.
Okay, what if just watch is MMA or mixed martial arts? And if any of that made you think that it's just like street fighting but with extra steps, then I'm sorry, you're a casual. Alright? What that means, that's basically a slur. If you're not too keen on the MMA community, there are two types of fans: casuals and hardcore fans. Casuals are the ones that just accept what they're told. They listen to Ariel Helwani and follow mainstream MMA IG pages, basically brainless sheep. Hardcores, on the other hand, form their own opinions by questioning the popular perspective being pushed by the mainstream. You might be wondering, why should you even try to be a hardcore? Well, the thing is, if you want to watch MMA, but you don't understand what's going on, and you rely on others to tell you what's happening, that's like asking somebody to, read and interpret a book for you instead of you actually reading it and using your brain. All right, but don't worry, that's where I come in. All right, I will turn you from a casual into a better casual by the end of this video. All right, and check out, because I will be telling you, you know I'll be educating you on how to be a hardcore, because I'll be telling you the secret why casuals are so different from hardcore MMA fans. So let's get into it. So my name is Sam, but today I guess I'm GTO MMA. So of course I would need the chalkboard. If you know, you know. All right. So yeah, next slide. So the 10-point must scoring system. What is the 10-point must scoring system? This is borrowed directly from boxing. All right. At the end of every round, each judge gives 10 points to the fighter they believe won that round. The fighter who lost the round gets 9 points. Okay, look. Listen to what I'm gonna say, or everything I'm gonna say here is essential. If you don't understand the 10-point must system, then you're lower than a casual. All right. If okay, look. At a competitive fight, it should look like it should score like 27 to 30. Yeah, that's a pretty competitive fight. Although it's still a sweep for the winner, of course. And the only hope for the fighter that is losing in that situation is to knock his opponent out or finish him. So yeah. Okay, so if you didn't knock your opponent out, if you did not submit your opponent, it's gonna go to the judges' scorecard. So what are they looking for? What's the criteria in scoring? So first and foremost, well, wait. All right, clean, damaging punches and kicks. Where did my laser pointer go? Look, okay, clean, damaging punches and kicks. So damage is king. All right, that's first and foremost. Second, submission attempts that put the opponent in genuine danger. So once you've put your opponent to the ground, if you've taken them down, you need to land strikes or try to submit them. Otherwise, you're not gonna score any points. Effective aggression. Okay, like I said, you can look aggressive by taking your opponent down, but if you're just holding them down, that amounts to 0 points for me. Yeah, for me. Oh no, for the judges as well, of course. Cage or ring control. Oh, this is more nuanced, more abstract. I think in the formal rule book, in the actual rule book, it's called ring generalship. It's basically enforcing your style upon your opponent, not letting them have a moment
You know, not letting them dominate you. Taking the fight where you want it to be. Yeah, that's basically it. Why am I focusing on this stuff? Because sometimes MMA can be misleading, alright? A fighter can look tough, fighter can look aggressive, but technically they're not doing much, alright? Okay, and as a casual, you need to understand that to be a better casual. Okay, next one. The types of decision. This is pretty self-explanatory. I'm just gonna go through it. Okay, unanimous decision. All three judges score that fight for one fighter. Alright, unanimously. Okay, split decision. Two judges score the fight for fighter A, and the third judge scores the fight for fighter B. So fighter A still wins, of course. Majority decision. This is really rare in MMA. Not a lot of draw in MMA. So basically, what happens here is two two judges score the fight to fighter A, and then the third judge scores the fight as a draw. All right, this rarely happens. I think this should happen more, to be honest. A lot of boring fights. There's a lot of boring fights that should be a majority decision or even a draw. I mean, so next one. Okay, Stan says these are the stuff you need to look out for, basically, but you don't need to really delve deep upon this stuff. Basically, if the fighter is leading with his left hand and left foot, like Dustin over here on the right, they're a orthodox fighter. Orthodox stance. No, not orthodox fighter. That's a totally different thing. And then if a fighter is leading with his right hand and right foot, they're a southpaw. Okay, typical for left-handed fighters, southpaw. Okay, typical for uh right-handed fighters. Well, I lagged for a moment there. Typical for right-handed fighters, orthodox stance. All right, there's a lot of nuance here that coaches, and fighters analyze, but as a casual trying to be a better casual, you don't need to worry about that too much. Okay. Clinch and cage work. This is where we get into the stuff that really differentiates casuals from hardcores, alright? When we get to the grappling. Wait, this is very nuanced. Clinch and cage work. So one fighter grabs their opponent to take them down or land strikes. Here he is landing a uppercut to the body. All right, but they can also trip each other. No, they can also no, they can trip each other. They could trip their opponent and take them down. All right, this is very okay. This is very nuanced. Or they can pin them against the cage and then work from there. Okay, guys, this is the secret. I don't think it's really a secret, but nobody talks about it. The general consensus in the MMA community is that the ground game is fairly boring, if you know. And I think it's not true. It's true for the most part, but stand up can also be boring. To be, ever see, watch Yoel Romero versus Israel Adesanya. There, they didn't do shit. Basically just stood there. So yeah, so I think what differentiates casuals from hardcore fighters, that hardcore MMA fans, is that Hardcore MMA fans understand grappling because stand-up can be intuitive. It's very close to the idea of fighting we have. Punching each other, striking. But the ground game is very unnatural. Very very unnatural. When you think of a street fight, you don't think about BJJ. You don't think about this shit. That's why this picture is so funny because if someone breaks into your house, you're not doing that. That's not your idea of a fight. So let's move on. Okay, the first position we're gonna look at is the full guard. All right. I'm gonna make it simple for the both of us. To be honest. Okay. So the top fighter on top is called no, the fighter on top is said to be on the bottom opponent's guard. So the bottom opponent is playing guard, and the top fighter is on guard on the guard. So I'm so sorry. It's just so funny because I I personally think this shit is boring, but
What the hell?
we need to know this, right? Okay, that's basically this stuff. So bottom fighter, slight disadvantage. No, there's a significant disadvantage, but they can do a lot of stuff here. They can sweep. When a sweep happens, the the bottom opponent sweeps the top opponent and they reverse position. The top opponent becomes the bottom person. Bottom.
Hey, yo.
No, not that type of bottom, but yeah. Okay. Okay. Half guard. The only difference between half guard and where did my laser pointer go? The only difference between half guard and full guard is the bottom fighter in half guard traps only one leg from the top fighter. Alright? From the fighter on the top. That's the only difference. Usually in half guard they transition to side control, right? Okay, side control is when you start getting really fucked up because you can't use your legs anymore. You can't use your legs anymore. Remember, you're a casual. You're always the one in the bottom, alright? In this video, so you can't use your legs anymore. You're gonna get fucked up, and the next thing that's gonna happen is a full mount. Your opponent gonna mount you.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, he's gonna mount you and he's gonna ground and pound you.
Hey, yo.
Like this. Like this. Look at this guy, the bottom. He doesn't want that. And you don't want that as well. Okay? Okay, now understand these positions, alright? Full guard, kinda fucked up, but not really because you can still do a lot of stuff here in the bottom. Half guard, you're getting there. You're getting there, yeah. You're getting fucked.
Huh?
Getting more fucked a little bit. It's getting worse. That's what I mean. Alright. And side control now you're wondering if you can still escape, you can still do something here. And a full mount, it's done. It's done. You're dead. Okay. And then we get to the back mount. Okay. For some reason, you survive the full mount. For some reason. By rolling over on your back. Like this. You rolled over on your belly from this. And then your opponent grab your neck and then wrap his legs around you. And then applied what's called a rear naked choke. This choke. Rear naked choke, alright? Okay. Okay. Then armbar. Somehow you survive that. And then you got into an armbar. I don't know what. I think that's possible. I think that's possible. So you got into the armbar, and this position is nasty because Demetrius Johnson here, this dude, if he extends your arm, I mean, if he extends his legs, then your arm will probably be dislocated, and that's not a nice look for you. Alright, but somehow you survived that, and then you got into your guard, got into your full guard somehow, and then used a triangle choke on Demetrius Johnson. Imagine this is Demetrius Johnson here. You did the triangle choke on Demetrius Johnson, and then what happens in a triangle choke? So you managed to isolate Demetrius Johnson's arm and head, and then you caught it with your legs like this, making a figure four. It's a four, right? Four, alright? Okay. But Demetrius Johnson escapes. Demetrius Johnson escapes, and then he shoots another takedown. But oh no, you finished this video. You know what to do. You're not a casual anymore, so what you did is a guillotine choke. Alright? His head was down when he shot the takedown, and then you caught it with your arms. And then you applied a guillotine choke. You choked out Demetrius Johnson. Very good. All thanks to this video. Alright. So, look guys, what I'm basically doing here is that making you understand the less known parts of MMA. You know, the scoring, that stuff, because a lot of MMA fans, I think intuitively, yeah, they use a lot of their intuition of, what's boring, what's fun. That's how they score fights, but that's not the objective way to do it. So it's not also the objective way to watch MMA. That's why I taught you those positions. All right. Okay. Now let's move on to the fights you should watch. Here we have Piotr Yan versus Merab Devalishvili 2. A lot of superb striking from Piotr Yan here on the right, and then not really good grappling from Merab, but Merab is a known grappler. It's a known wrestler. Now, Piotr showcases his striking, yeah. Very nice striking. Also showcases his superb takedown defense. So watch this fight. This is free. It's a free fight. I'll probably put the link down below. So yeah. Okay, look. This fight. Oh my god, I love this fight, man. Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. I put this fight here because it's just a nice fight. It's a nice fight to watch. Very entertaining. What you should do when you watch this fight is try to apply try to apply this. Think like a judge. All right. Then I'm pretty sure you can see this, all of this in that fight. Clinch, cage work, full guard, all of this stuff. In these two fights, you can see that. Okay. Now you've watched the video. Thank you for finishing the video. Leave a like. Share it. Subscribe, of course. I'm just starting out this channel. Oh, what the fuck happened? I'm just starting out. What the fuck is happening to my mouse? Okay, I'm just starting out this channel, so I'm just basically here to yap about MMA, get my thoughts out there. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, subscribe, do your thing, and then, yeah, goodbye.